You're listening to the Culture Junkie podcast, where we go beyond the surface of pop culture.
I'm Keith.
And I'm Xandra. Together, we dive into the craft process and passion that drive today's creators. This is the Culture Junkie podcast. Life moves fast and your insurance should too. With on-the-fly insurance, you can compare rates, customize your coverage, and get a quote in minutes. It's 100% online, 100% secure, and 100% Canadian. So whether you're on the go or planning ahead, protect what matters most with ease. Head to ontheflyinsurance.com and get protection made easy. Built for life on the fly. Links in the bio or in the show notes below. Hi, everybody. We're here on the Culture Junkie podcast with Sue of... What is it? Sue Speaks?
Sue Kwon Speaks.
Sue Kwon Speaks is the social media, and you've just started up your new social media presence.
Yep, just starting.
And tell us more about it.
Okay, so long story short, I was working for a while in a government job, and it was fine as far as day jobs go. Like government job can be pretty cushy, but recent events have made me realize maybe now is the time to take the leap and strike out on my own and do things that I've been meaning to do for a while. One of the things was I turned 50 recently, and I was like, do I really want to be in this job past 50? And I'm very fortunate. I can afford to take some time and not work for a while and work on these other projects that are important to me. So yeah, that's it. That's it.
You're taking the what is it, bicentennial, the moment to reassess the situation and focus on what you love. And you call yourself an edutainer.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So it's something I've been thinking about for a while. I really lucked out, and I worked with this guy, a fabulous gay guy at a nonprofit. And we were just chatting. And he was saying his dream career, because he's very good with impressions, with facials. And he was saying, I would love to be not an actor or a singer per se, but he used the word edutainer. And I was like, I love that, because he has a message he wants to spread in an entertaining way.
Nice.
And, open people's eyes, but also entertain them, right? But I love it because there's no pressure. It's not like being a stand-up comedian.
No.
Right?
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure to deliver it in such a specific type of way. Yeah. So what are you trying to get across to people?
So long story short, there's a lot of backstory here. So I'm really trying to condense it. So I went through my struggles, as we all do, through life, right? Mood-wise. And I came to a point where because I went through a dark, depressive time in my life. And you can only depend on friends or other resources so much. You need to, at some point, be your own rock. So to pull myself out of that depression, I had to come up with mental health tools that I could use. So I'm working on a writing project now. I took a year off work to travel with my digital nomad boyfriend.
Where'd you go? Any like a quick synopsis of?
Okay, we'll go back a little bit. So 2022, finally the lockdown is coming to a close. I have all this vacation that I had built up, and I said, where do I want to go? Okay, I'll go to Peru, and because I'm interested in psychedelics and plant medicine.
Oh yeah.
So there's a Russian, and this guy's a hustler. There's a Russian guy who moved to Peru. He got married to a local woman, and he brews a psychedelic tea out of a cactus that only grows in South America.
Really?
Yes.
What's that called?
It's a native plant medicine. It's called huachuma.
Okay.
The Spanish name is San Pedro, but the native name is huachuma.
Got it.
It's like a lot of people might have heard of ayahuasca. So ayahuasca is like the tough love grandmother who slap you around a bit and be like, what are you doing with your life?
Got it.
But this medicine, huachuma, is like the gentle grandfather.
Ooh.
He'll take you for ice cream. He'll be like, I'm sad that grandmother slapped you around a bit, but maybe this is why, right? So huachuma is known for being a heart opener and supposed to be very good for creativity. So long story short, I go to Peru for 5 weeks in this retreat, and I drink this cactus tea. And there's other people from all around the world there, including this handsome stranger. And we have a holiday romance.
Oh, yeah.
And at the end, he's like, what are you doing? Do you want to travel with me for a while? Because he's a digital nomad.
Got it.
and he's just been traveling around the world working off his laptop for the past few years. So I said, let me see how much time I can get off work. Turns out I could take a year off from my job.
Nice.
So we traveled to like 10 countries, and I started a blog about our journey together. And he read it and he was like, Sue, this is really good. You should turn it into a book, which I never considered because I love writing, but I never considered like nonfiction, just what really wasn't my jam. I thought, but then I read my journal because I kept a journal for our year together. And I was like, there's good stuff in here. So
Insights,
yeah. So
all sorts of stuff, I imagine.
yeah, all sorts. So I'm working on the travel memoir now. Do you know Eat, Pray, Love?
I do.
Right?
I
Eat, Pray,
do.
Love. It's like that.
Really enjoyed it when I read it in, I think, 2012. I did end up going to Bali
Yeah.
to enjoy the beautiful culture there. I wasn't really hoping I'd find someone there, but, it was a good book to learn about self, culture, and all the different things that you can go through when you're transitioning in life. So is that
Exactly.
kind of what you're aiming for as well?
Yeah. So it's postmodern Eat, Pray, Love, but written by a woman of color. And it'll be hopefully juicy is what I'm going for. So, but during that year, so it's great. I mean, who doesn't want to travel for a year? Handsome dude. It was great. So the book talks about our external journeys, but also my internal struggles because I was very depressed for a
Right.
lot of that year.
Really?
Yeah, I was always in my head. I was constantly thinking, racing towards the future and obsessing like, oh my God, what am I gonna, because I didn't want to go back to my job. So I was thinking, and leave my boyfriend, who's the love of my life. So it's constantly racing ahead, thinking what's going to happen in the future. I was worried about money. So I really had to develop mental health strategies to not drive me and my boyfriend crazy. So the book talks about that as well. And I think that would help a lot of people.
Fully. I just have one question. Do you feel like you knew you were depressed at the time, or was that something that you reflected back on and kind of realized later? Or maybe a little bit of both, because it's not linear. It's not necessarily black and white.
It's really not linear, not black and white for sure. So I'd been really depressed before that, but was able to come out of it using various tools and resources. So it was much better. By the time I had met this guy and traveled with him, it was much better. But I still had my ghosts. Like, I still felt a little bit haunted. So if I had still been really depressed, I probably wouldn't have attracted him.
True.
And I wouldn't have been able to travel. So
True.
So I was depressed during that time. It wasn't as bad as prior, but it was still enough to make me think, okay, what are some strategies? I need strategies.
Well, it sounds like you had already been on the healing journey for a little bit.
Yeah.
And so you had an idea of tools that you could use. And so when you saw a new tool, you were like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do this. And also put that in my back pocket. Put
Totally.
that in my back pocket. So I guess reflecting on that, how has the writing experience been for you? As in taking the raw material, parsing it down, making it a little bit more, I don't know, editing it basically.
Yeah.
How's that been?
So pretty much the first draft is done. It really helped because I journaled. I kept a journal for that whole year. So that really helped. So the first draft is done, but it needs a lot of work. So that's what I'm doing now. Like, people ask me, because my last day of work was February 6th.
Oh, wow.
So, and people ask me, what have you been doing? And I said, I've been at my new job, ass in seat, working on this travel memoir, cleaning up the draft. Like, that's been my new job. That plus, because my aspiration is to be I want to use this book as a launch pad for a public speaking career and talk to people about mental health, wellness, personal development, because we live in a crazy world.
We
So
do.
I figure any tools that can help people even just get through the day, I think is very valuable. But to do that, so finishing the book is one thing. And also I have to level up my social media. That's part of the reason why I'm here.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sue Kwon speaks, and you just kind of started your platform, social media. literally you're speaking out.
Speaking out.
You're talking about different issues. Well, and the book, I imagine, just getting in contact with people, seeing who's interested out there or who's interesting,
Yeah,
I guess.
true.
But yeah, what has it been creating content now? Because that's part of writing the book.
Yeah.
Personally, I suggest you do a lot of excerpts from the book. You speak from the writing and
Yeah.
tell us a little, like, give little nuggets of what to expect.
So it's interesting, the word expect, I'm gonna tag off that. I was not expecting to be on social media like this, but we live in a world where if you wanna put for example, if you wanna write a book and put it out there, you
Hmm.
need some kind of presence, and
Hmm.
I've always been an introvert. Like, I am fine Netflix and snacking at home
Yeah.
and absorbing content. I'm fine with that. Creating content, this is totally new,
Very different,
right?
but for someone who wants to be a speaker,
Yeah.
great practice putting yourself out there. What do you feel is going to be the difference between speaking to audiences and speaking to the internet? Do you think that there is going to be like a big leap up there? Do you have a lot of experience in the past being in front of crowds?
Yeah, I would say a little bit. So first of all, my dad, which I love you, Dad. He he passed away a few years ago. But love you, Dad. R.I.P. He's like chilling in heaven with God, like having tea. And anyway, so was one of the best public speakers and storytellers I have ever seen. Like he was great at giving formal speeches, but also shooting the shit and telling
Hmm.
stories with his friends. Like I would watch him just even at a picnic and he would have like a crowd of people around him just very naturally. So I like to think I got some of that from him, right? And also I've always been an underachiever for whatever reasons, but I remember there was one trophy that I won growing up and it was for public speaking in middle school.
Nice.
So I like to think that that is a good sign for what I'm doing now. So, but yeah, it's a trip. Like I have been trying to post more on social media, book excerpts, as you mentioned, but also little like vlogs, video essays, right, on YouTube, and it is very different. It's very different talking to camera than obviously delivering a speech. So, but I think they're related. Like if I think you can definitely improve your skills talking to camera, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I would definitely say that, being on this podcast myself, talking to people has been a very positive experience, just getting in contact with other humans, feeling the spirit of everybody who's interested and watching out there, and also connect and made a connection that you wouldn't have had if you did it a different way.
Yeah.
Highly suggest more podcasts in your future. And but yeah, I know you're a very creative person outside of your job, because I know part of your sort of narrative right now is the transition from job to full-time writer right now. But you've always had that creative streak in you.
Yeah, I'm Korean Canadian and we have there's a bit of a there's a cultural theme, I guess you could call it, right? Where my Asian immigrant parents really wanted me to go on a certain path. If not doctor or lawyer, then well, I majored in economics because I thought this would please my Asian parents.
Hmm.
So, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. So now I think I'm finally doing what I'm supposed to be doing
Hmm.
because I've had a creative streak from when I was little, but it was never nurtured.
Yeah.
So now I feel like, okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And
I guess anybody who's not really that creative wouldn't seek out going to South America in the first place to bolster their creativity in the first place.
yeah,
So that's connecting to that, making it larger, and maybe making more friends with your own creativity,
yeah.
I imagine. So what's next? What's happening next?
So yeah, every day it's been the writing and then figuring out social media, which in
Hmm.
itself, I mean, either of those things is a
Hmm.
full-time job. To figure out social media and even just mastering one platform is a job in itself, right?
Oh yeah.
So right now I'm targeting Instagram YouTube, and to a lesser extent Substack, which is like newsletters. My good friend was telling me, and he's been great at giving me great social media advice. He said, you need to be on TikTok. And I was like, man, that's like the dark side though, right? Because you hear about like the infinite scroll and you see people just out and about. We're Canadian, out and about.
It's true. Couch, out and about,
right?
couch.
Yes. She's clearly got her Canadian card, folks. But you see people out there and everybody's on their phones and a lot of them are on TikTok. And I'm like, man, I don't know if because I've trained myself to not scroll so much because I want to keep my attention span more or less, at a decent level. And my friend is like, you should be on TikTok. I'm like, man, it really is I was thinking it's a dark side, but now I'm thinking maybe.
I mean, I understand it's difficult to connect with certain platforms because they have a different way of communicating to the outside world, and maybe that doesn't exactly click with you at that moment. But on the other side of that, they do have different communities on there that are inaccessible in other ways. I found my experience on TikTok to be wild. Like,
Yeah.
we just had a TikTok random thing, just one day, didn't even put any work, quote unquote, into it. So funny that you work so hard doing a piece of content and like two people will watch it.
Yeah.
And then you do something so like random and off the cuff. We had 4.3 million people watch it.
Oh my, holy shit.
And I was
wasn't
just
sure if I
like,
could say,
and I'm just like watching it go. And, of course, everybody had something to say about it and they're all fighting. And like, when someone's comment on our content gets 64,000 likes, it's a lot. And it's a lot of energy. It's a lot of like input. If you're not used to that amount of like input, because it feels like when nobody's like interacting with your stuff, it feels like you're just kind of shouting out into the void. kind of.
totally.
But then when the void turns its face upon you, that's a whole other like experience.
Yeah.
And,
It could be like a tsunami.
you just have to like roll with it, go with the wave, I guess, and really just like it looks like you're doing, as you would, being secure in what you want to say, being secure in who you are, and just coming out with your whole chest.
Yeah.
Because
I love that.
I think that's the difference between just people in general who have a different time, a difficult time with any type of scrutiny.
Yeah.
As we were chatting a little bit before about different influencers and how they say things out into the void, but if there's anything that comes back to them, scrutinizing or just even asking like, what do you mean by that? There's a sense of like defensiveness and an uncomfortableness. Whereas if you're secure in your story, where you came from, what you want to say,
Yeah.
you can answer and just say like this. You can have your beliefs. I can have my beliefs. You can think I'm wrong. And you can even say I'm wrong based on my experience, but that doesn't make you right. So and it starts a lot of dialogue. It's very interesting use of energy, I find. So
For sure. We're living in interesting times.
For
Really
sure.
interesting.
There's a lot of energy out there, and it's definitely different from when I first got on Instagram, which was 2016. Like it doesn't seem like 10 years ago, but here we
Oh
are.
my God.
But it is like when I talk to people and they're trying to create something and they're trying to promote or even just like as we're doing right here, kind of hash through ideas, like, filter it out, throw it across the walls, let's see what sticks, see what doesn't stick. I talk to a lot of people and they're kind of afraid to step out onto the stage. And you're literally stepping out onto the stage online and wanting to do it offline as well. So transitioning into that, like, where do you want to speak? What's your hope and dreams of where you end up speaking?
It's a little open-ended, actually. the first thing is to just get the book finished. I want it to be super clean and just the best piece of writing I can do. This thing is my book baby. So I need to get that out. And then once I do, I'll just take it on the road and do readings in different places. And maybe from there move towards public speaking gigs, right? So and I took stand-up comedy writing once just for the experience, not to actually be a stand-up comic. And it's a great experience if you want to be funny and work on your public speaking, that's the way to go. And I lucked out because my instructor was amazing. And he never worked an office job. He was a stand-up comedian and he has a side gig. He's hired by big companies to host like if they have a retreat somewhere, then he hosts the retreat or their convention.
Right.
Right? He's an MC
Kind of like an
basically.
MC,
Yeah.
but more of a all-encompassing MC that comes off the stage and helps you with your, I don't know, your breakout room or something
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. But and he's a comedian, so he can do it in a funny way. And I thought that's a great career.
Mm.
Like if I could do anything in the world, that might be one of the things.
That's cool.
So I have no idea how how it's gonna happen. So, but I realize it's just one step at a time.
Yeah. You're literally, like you said, February
February 6th, last day
February
ever.
6th, you launched yourself off into the air, into the unknown. And, who knows what's gonna take you up or direct you or what, like wind tunnel you'll end up heading down a direct or path because, as we all know, we have an idea of how we want life to go.
Yeah.
And then life says, how about this though, actually? Or how about that? Because who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? Just like with the whole making a piece of content and two people looking at it versus making something just meh, and then 4.5 million people looking at it and going, what the heck?
Yeah.
You don't know, but it sounds like you have to put yourself out there and just see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
So what would you like everybody to do or go see or interact with you if you could ask them today and say, hey, everybody, this is what I'm here for. This is what I stand for. Come check out my Instagram, future TikTok.
Yeah. No. That might take I might have to wrap my head around that. Well, I do have an Instagram account, which before when I was very introverted and not
Mm,
and not engaging with the world at all, really I didn't have a presence on Instagram, but now I'm trying to build that up. So, yeah, joining Instagram
mhm,
and especially because I'm trying to build something from basically nothing.
mhm.
Because I went from being very depressed, antisocial, not engaging with the world to this. Like if you had told me 5 or 10
Yeah,
years ago I would be doing this, I would be like, there's no way. Like
yeah.
that's crazy. So it's been a journey and it's a journey right now. Trying to build, that's basically what I'm doing, building something from nothing, taking my Instagram hopefully to the next level. I'm also growing my YouTube channel because I like to think one of my strengths is script writing, right? So I
Mhm.
like posting video essays about what I've learned so far on my journey and hopefully including insights that might help other people. So I'm building my YouTube channel too. Wow, that's
Yeah,
like
yeah. YouTube is a whole thing. So go
dang.
check out Kwon Speaks on YouTube, on Instagram, and
And you know what? TikTok because my
why
social media
not?
manager is like, you need to be on there. And he's been right about all his other advice. So I'm like, I guess I need to.
Why fight it, right?
Yeah.
But you're at the beginning of your journey, so I think you've got the right attitude of just like opening yourself up to whatever feedback the world wants to give you so that you can step out with your whole chest.
Yeah, I love that. That's great.
Any ideas of what the book is going to be called?
I have one title in mind, but it's a little
You don't have to tell us now. You could say to be seen, to be
yeah.
determined,
Let's just say TBC.
percolating, and it'll, probably come up in within the editing and finding, personally, I have the worst time choosing a name for something,
Right?
because it's hard to, for me anyway, I might be a little bit of a talker, but it it's hard for me to distill an entire, you know, piece of art into, even if it's like not a book, even if it's a painting, a song, it's hard to distill that into one word or two words. So I have a lot of respect for people who are able to find that diamond and let it reflect
Yeah.
into what the piece of writing is.
Yeah. Yeah, titles. It can be tough. So hopefully it'll come up organically though.
So we're wrapping it up now. Thank you so much for watching the Culture Junkie podcast. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and take a look for Sue Kwon Speaks. And any ideas if you're gonna do anything in the future, like recently or coming up, or are you just butt in the chair?
Yeah. But in the chair, that's like default mode. And then I will be posting, apparently it's a marathon. So I'll be posting at least one new video on YouTube every week. Mondays, I've decided, is my
Nice.
shooting day. And then, yeah, just posting every day, every week for at least the next year or two. My social media manager was like, no, indefinitely. Like, this is what you're, so I'm like, great. Okay.
Wow.
Forever, maybe. And then,
Awesome.
yeah, doing the podcast circuit. And
Yeah.
I'm thankful because this is my first one. And
Welcome to the podcast world. We're so excited to have you. And yeah, I think it's very important before we wrap up, I think it's really important to talk about mental health, especially right now, because, well, it's always important. But right now I feel, you know, the last 10 years has been really intense for everybody. I think it's been change, it's been transition all across the board. And a lot of people I find they don't want to think about it. They don't want to talk about it. They just want a memory hole, as
yeah,
they call it. They want a memory hole, the whole experience of the last 10 years. And um, then they get very cagey and defensive, which is funny. It's part of the reason why we even started this podcast, is to get into touch with people again. I know how people are like, you don't have to start a podcast to sit down with people and chat, but also it does bring you so much positivity to have that piece entered in it, because I don't know about you, but I know so many cool people, case in point, and I want to bring those cool people to the world. You know what I mean? So it's funny how positivity, mental health, and connection can come in the form, all kinds of forms. So, whether it's self reflection upon journaling, or putting yourself out there and making connections. Either way, it's all positive. But I think the more we talk about mental health, the more we kind of process everything that has happened together and connect through that, makes, because yeah, we've spent so much time separated.
yeah.
We've spent so much time divorced from each other,
Mhm.
that it's a very positive thing to help bring each other back together, and
For
also
sure.
reflect on all that time.
For sure.
So I'm really looking forward to reading your book, and also,
Reading an audiobook, because I already know I'm gonna record an audiobook version. It's gonna be so much fun. It'll be fun for me, I think, and I think it'll be really fun for listeners too. So
well, it's gonna be good, because you're gonna, half of your recordings are already gonna be up online anyway, so you can practice your cadence and everything. So
yeah.
yeah, check it out. Sue Kwon Speaks, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok in the
Yeah.
future. Thanks so much, guys, for watching, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Sandra.
Okay, we'll see you next time. Bye.